I took the tough choice to depart and declared that I would not be returning. I clenched my possessions and shed a few tears, which mixed with my physical pain in my neck. My stay at my in-laws' house came to an end at this point. I'm 37 years old, and my name is Jessica. It had been 4 years since my marriage. I was a home-based writer before I got married. My father's accident forced me to return home to help my parents, which is when I decided to change careers. I eventually achieved great success as a freelancer, earning more money than I did at my prior typical work. I reconnected with Larry during a college reunion, and he ended up being my husband. There was a clear attraction between us despite our different personalities, and we got married shortly after. Sadly, Larry's father passed away not long after our wedding. We moved in with his bereaved mother in order to help her, a decision that from the start created the conditions for a difficult coexistence. My mother-in-law and I had a challenging life together. She never came to accept me as Larry's wife, even though I tried to be encouraging and fit in. I started to become tired of her insults and nasty remarks. Even so, I remained strong and unwavering, firmly deciding to leave and look for a better life for myself when it got too much. My mother-in-law Helen questioned the quality of the ingredients one evening while I was cooking dinner. "Was that store where you purchased these? With such ingredients, how can you make a nice meal?" she mocked. Actually, these were from the upscale grocery nearby. "Helen, I apologize if this isn't to your liking. It's really a basic salad. I usually make it, and Larry like it." Trying to keep the peace, I said, "Yes, it's a bit pricey." "Oh my God. Behave in a way that doesn't degrade our family." Her disappointment was evident as she sighed. "You never know who's watching." Her remarks hurt, but they also gave me more motivation to become more well-groomed and competent in the kitchen in order to win her approval. I tried every day, but her icy stare never warmed up. Her harsh remarks and sarcasm were dismissed at first, but eventually they weighed heavily on me, leaving me feeling helpless and invalidated. I wanted to tell Larry everything, but our bond had changed. These days, we hardly ever spent time together. With a worn-out expression, Larry would reply, "I've been busy with work lately." I was getting more and more alone, so I eventually found the guts to tell him what was bothering me. One day I said, "Hey, I have something to discuss." Larry chimed in, "Oh, I actually have something to tell you too. My employment ended 4 months ago." "How come? Give up? What are you trying to say?" I let out a startled gasp. "I've already started another job, so don't worry." "Do you recall the boutique I've always wanted to open?" At last, I gave it a try. He disclosed, "I'm co-managing it with Senior Samuel," alluding to a well-liked member of our university, who is well known for his charisma and leadership. He created and successfully marketed a gaming app while in college, and to demonstrate his abilities, he and his pals eventually founded a firm. He continued, "I didn't want to worry you or Mom," in his customary kind manner, but with a trace of remorse in his eyes. "I'm going to put forth more effort now. Will you be there for me?" I was touched by what he said, but I was a little hesitant to answer. "I'll support you, but about the rent for this house. Can you cover all of it?" I inquired. With a sincere gaze, he begged me, saying, "Please, Jessica, this has always been my dream. This is taking longer than anticipated to pay off. I want to spend more money on advertising because of this. Before we depart, I'll make sure this business gets back on track. To do that, I need your assistance." His genuineness and enthusiasm moved me, and I was unable to say no. Thankfully, we had some money, so I could pay the rent with my salary. More significantly, I shared and understood his passion and aspirations, and I had never forgotten the day I decided to marry him. If that's what you say, I get it. But only till this rental's lease expires. I concurred, adding, "I'd like to learn more about the store you're running." "Naturally." Larry thanked me and showed me his exclusive shop's website. Its allure captivated me, so I inquired if there was anything I could do to help. I ask that you concentrate on your work and that you keep this a secret from my mother. He said, I don't want to worry her. This new discovery made me completely forget about my mother-in-law. Although I was happy to help Larry with his business, the monthly costs I had to pay for were going up. All of the household budget management, financial support for my husband, and even my mother-in-law's allowance fell under my purview. All I could hope was that the lease would expire soon. Jessica, would you mind taking a little break from working on your computer to clean? One day, my mother-in-law told me, you should be more proactive with the household chores since you're staying here. Oh, Mother, I apologize. I quickly replied, I'll start as soon as I finish this job. You have this task to do. I have enough justifications. Finish it as soon as possible. This afternoon we have company coming over. Please leave the house after you're done cleaning, she said. Over time, my mother-in-law and I continued to have the same connection. I constantly had to leave the house after cleaning when she had guests, and it seemed to annoy her. One little comfort was that I could work from any place with my laptop, but one day, things turned out differently. Upon my return home in the evening, my mother-in-law gave me a satisfied, "Welcome back. I cleaned your room." I hurried to my office, confused. Yes, the room was tidy. A big suitcase and 2 duffel bags were arranged neatly in the center of the space. Perplexed, I questioned my mother-in-law. "Mother, what does this mean?" Originally, this chamber was ready for visitors. I can't stand it if someone uses it with your disrespect for cleaning. You will be required to pay a charge in order to remain here. If that isn't to your liking, you can depart right away. She firmly said, "Don't expect to live here in luxury without contributing." I bit back my words, feeling a mix of hurt and indignation. As I lowered my head, trying to hide my upset, she added with a tone of finality, "I must say, I don't see you as Larry's rightful wife." With that, she turned and left for the living room. Tears of frustration welled up as I felt isolated and wronged. I tried calling Larry, but he didn't answer. After sending him a message about the situation, his reply came, "Please bear with it a little longer." When Larry came home late that night, I couldn't hold back any longer. I'm already covering the full rent, and now she expects me to pay extra just to use a room. Her demands are unreasonable, I vented. Larry looked troubled and immediately tried to soothe the situation. "I'm sorry. I'll talk to her. Once we leave this place, you won't have to deal with her again. Just hold on a bit longer," he pleaded. His words calmed me slightly, offering a glimmer of hope. The next morning, it seemed Larry had spoken to his mother. We had breakfast together in an unusually quiet atmosphere, without her typical sarcastic remarks. Since my room had been cleared, I decided to work from the dining table. Mid-morning, my mother-in-law approached unexpectedly. "Are you leaving today?" she inquired. Before I could respond, I felt a sudden sharp pain in my neck. "Ouch, that's hot," I exclaimed, turning to see her smirking with a hair iron in hand. "Why would you do this?" I managed to ask, clutching my neck, bewildered and in pain. "It's time you felt some heat too," she sneered. "I wanted to test how thick-skinned you are. You live such a luxurious life, yet you contribute nothing." "I work hard too," I protested, my voice filled with disbelief and anger. "Why would you do something so cruel?" she scoffed. "You call your at-home job work? You're just using it as an excuse to laze around, nothing more." Her words stung as I hurried to the kitchen for a cooling pack, the pain in my neck a harsh reminder of the growing rift between us. Overwhelmed by the unfairness of it all, I couldn't help but glare at my mother-in-law. "What's with that look? The look of a pitiful person," she scoffed. "I've reached my limit. Leave this house immediately, or I can't be responsible for what happens next. Am I free to leave? I questioned, my voice shaky with the weight of the decision. I won't come back, you know. Yes, that's fine. I'm fed up with supporting someone like you, she retorted, her words dripping with disdain and disappointment. Overcome with a whirlwind of emotions, I began to cry as I packed my things. Fortunately, since my mother-in-law had already organized my belongings the day before, the process was quick. I left my in-laws' home without a backward glance and, after a brief visit to the hospital, found solace at my favorite cafe. The spacious tables and tranquil atmosphere provided the perfect setting to focus and gather my thoughts. As I debated whether to contact Larry, I was unexpectedly greeted. "Jessica, is that you?" To my surprise, it was Senior Samuel. "It's been a while. How's Larry doing? I heard you were the co-owner of his shop," he remarked. Caught off guard, I apologized for not greeting him earlier. "I only helped with the website design at Larry's request," I explained. Senior Samuel looked puzzled. "Co-owner? What do you mean?" "I just heard you were the main sponsor," he said. I was taken aback by his words. Larry had lied. This revelation hit me hard. It turned out that Larry had rented a different apartment and had been making an effort during the initial months, a detail he hadn't shared with me. Despite Larry's involvement in the online shop, others were handling the inventory, shipping, and promotion from the outset. Against Senior Samuel's advice, who suggested he take a more hands-on approach, Larry maintained that such tasks weren't suitable for a businessman. Consequently, there was no growth in foot traffic or sales, just a continual rise in expenses. According to Senior Samuel, Larry was now deeply engrossed in the internet business, spending lavishly on consultants and portraying himself as a successful business owner, while sometimes treating his employees poorly. I was stunned by these revelations. The added strain of covering my mother-in-law's expenses stemmed from the depletion of my father-in-law's inheritance, a fact unknown to me until now. Larry's recent pleas for financial help were likely a result of dwindling funds, something he had concealed from me. Connecting the dots with Senior Samuel's insights, the picture became painfully clear. After thanking Senior Samuel, I left the cafe and found myself at my parents' doorstep. Luggage in tow, my father greeted me with a surprised look. Overwhelmed, tears streamed down my face as I faced my parents, who had been unaware of my struggles. "Tell us what happened. Your mom and I are always here for you," my father assured me. Encouraged by their support, I broke down and shared everything. The harsh treatment from my mother-in-law, the financial burdens I carried for the in-laws' household, and the revelations about Larry. Both of my parents were deeply moved and shared in my tears. "There's no need to return to your in-laws. Live for yourself from now on," my father declared, his words echoing with sincerity. That conversation lifted a tremendous weight off my shoulders. What had I been enduring all these months? The only word from Larry was a brief message asking, "Where are you now?" After ignoring several similar inquiries, his attempts to reach out ceased. It seemed my presence in his life was inconsequential, but in that moment of realization, more than sadness, I felt a decisive clarity. Enjoying a simple meal with my parents, I experienced the genuine warmth of family, a stark contrast to what I'd endured. While staying at my parents' house, I began to rediscover myself. About 3 weeks later, Larry called, likely because the rent was due. "Jessica, where are you? Have things calmed down with Mom? She feels bad about it. Aren't you coming back soon?" he asked. "I'm at my parents' house now and I plan to stay here. Your mother said she's tired of taking care of someone like I," replied calmly, determined to forge a new path for myself, free from the burdens of my previous life. Firm in my decision, I told Larry, "I think we should get a divorce." His response was immediate. "Wait, why divorce?" If living with Mom is the problem, we can sort it out. I'm coming to pick you up so we can discuss this in person. Why should we talk now when you were unreachable before? How's your business going? I asked. There was a pause before he replied. Actually, I'm consulting with a business expert. There might be a big breakthrough next month. That's beside the point, I countered. You haven't shared anything substantial with me, and that's why I don't want to talk anymore. I'll draft the divorce papers and send them to you. I ended the call and hung up. However, that night, Larry unexpectedly showed up at my parents' house. I spoke to him through a small gap in the door, kept secure by the chain. Jessica, please don't be upset. Let's return home. Mom regrets what happened, he pleaded. I was forced out by your mother, I reminded him sternly. You expect me not to take that seriously? She burned me with a hot hair iron. I don't know what she might do next. There's no way I can go back. I showed him the burn mark on my neck. Did Mom do that? I'm so sorry, I didn't know. She told me it was just a minor argument. Larry apologized. A minor argument? His trivialization of the incident fueled my anger further. I had intended to discuss the divorce calmly, but his dismissiveness made it clear that a calm discussion might not be possible. I'm not coming back. You should go home too. I'll contact you again tomorrow. Really? Will you call? I asked. I can't accept a divorce without a proper discussion. If you don't call, I'll be back tomorrow, Larry said before leaving. Determined to address the situation formally, I arranged a meeting with Larry and my mother-in-law 5 days later at a chic restaurant located on the 25th floor of a luxury hotel. On the day, I chose to wear a high-end brand dress, styling my hair up to expose the burn on my neck visibly. My mother-in-law seemed displeased by my appearance. Thank you for gathering today, I began, managing a polite smile as I addressed them. I've reserved afternoon tea, so please enjoy it. Larry appeared somewhat relieved by my composed demeanor. As tea and small appetizers were served, my mother-in-law broke the silence. Jessica, I'm truly sorry about last time. I was wrong, she admitted, her tone contrite. Larry had reprimanded her severely. You'll forgive me, won't you? She pleaded. I didn't respond immediately, choosing instead to quietly continue enjoying my appetizer, pondering the sincerity of her apology and the next steps in our complicated relationship. I slowly turned my neck to display the burn scar. I can forgive, but not until this scar fades. Also, are you aware that Larry quit his job? Larry became noticeably anxious at the disclosure, and my mother-in-law gave him a shocked look. You mean he gave up? He's been saying he's busy all the time, she stumbled, sounding both confused and alarmed. Trying to maintain a neutral tone, I said, Yes, he's busy pretending to be a successful businessman. What's going on, Larry? Describe yourself. My mother-in-law's earlier fear turned to urgency as she demanded answers. With a sense of bittersweet vindication, I saw the scene come to pass. As I took in the stunning view from the 25th floor cafe, which appeared to reflect the high drama taking place at our table, the server brought over a tea station filled with alluring pastries. In any case, Larry, what have you been up to lately? Senior Samuel informed me that you had left the shoe shop. Is that accurate? I questioned, seeing as he turned pale and wavered between astonishment and dread. Taking hold of his arm, my mother-in-law barraged him with inquiries. What took place? Why would you act in such way? I went on. Larry, I am fully informed. In the end, you were less interested in being a great businessman and more fixated on the concept of success. You didn't really have any business sense, but you acted on impulse and wasted the entire inheritance your father left behind, didn't you? Yes, that's correct, I said directly to my mother-in-law, who was now wearing a suspicious and increasingly irate expression. Larry's actions have not only destroyed our household finances, but also used up his inheritance. I paused to let the enormity of the situation sink in before continuing. I have been paying for all of the house's expenses. My wallet even provided you with the allowance you believed Larry was providing you. Furthermore, I have been footing the bill for all of Larry's foolish endeavors. My mother-in-law looked shocked and dejected as she sank back into the couch. She felt as though her son had caused a financial catastrophe, and the understanding of the situation made her lose her will to fight. I went on observing their responses. We've been losing money while he's been posing as a businessman. Larry made an effort to reassure her. Mom, don't worry. We get by on Jessica's income. Quickly, I said, don't make this seem insignificant. I've heard you're launching a new company. We've barely touched the bottom yet. Don't waste money on your fantasies anymore. The tension was evident when the cafe grew silent. I gulped down the last of my tea and declared my intentions. Since you two have essentially run out of money, I can no longer take care of you both. You'll have to pay the rent for the next week. We will proceed with the divorce through legal counsel. I don't want a divorce, Larry begged, his eyes welling with tears. Don't do this, please. I made a clear decision, though. With a pale expression, my mother-in-law asked me to help. You previously claimed that you didn't consider me to be family, Helen. Now, I would like you to start by making this payment as recompense for the burn. I firmly said, I hope you still have some savings, and left them to take the hit. As I left the opulent hotel, I cast a sidelong glance at the imposing building, wishing they could sense the abrupt change from their opulent lifestyle to their new circumstances, a metaphorical fall from grace. In the end, we went ahead and divorced. Larry refused at first, but gave in when I said I would call the police to report the assault. My mother-in-law was someone I could never forgive, but removing her from my life would make it easier for me to move on. I asked to be compensated significantly for emotional pain as part of the settlement. They afterwards moved into a small flat. The relationship between my stingy ex-husband and his dejected mother grew more and more tense. My once haughty mother-in-law turned to part-time cleaning jobs in her quest for independence, which made me smile wryly. Larry, on the other hand, was struggling to make ends meet and was deeply in debt. I couldn't help but notice the irony of their altered situation at night. Larry would seem to be better suited for irregular work given his true ability. When I looked at it another way, the dynamic personality that first drew me to him proved to be nothing more than impulsiveness and superficiality. These characteristics were accentuated by the opulent lifestyle made possible by my father-in-law's inheritance. I've returned to working regularly from my folks' house as of late. Later, I had a meeting with Senior Samuel to thank him and give him an update on the issue. He expressed his admiration for my writing, and I have since begun to receive projects from him. I'm staying with my folks and focusing on starting again and taking care of my well-being for the time being.